So I don't think this is any significantly different from any other area of business. We've seen this happen in e-commerce. We've seen this happen in transportation. It's happening in everything that we do. There are no travel agents anymore. There are no uh, shops are disappearing thanks to e-commerce, right? So there's no reason why it should not happen in this area as it has in others. Uh, Technology takes time sometimes in certain areas where they are of greater significance. So if you want to run a pilotless flight, it'll take us a little longer than running a driverless car because the lives of hundreds of people are at stake instead of one or two people there, right? That's the reason there is a bit of a delay, but it's going to be the exactly same as any other industry, really. In terms of cost of acquiring a customer, the cost is high if you want to scale really quickly, really. It's true across any industry. The cost of acquiring a customer by meeting them and actually onboarding them is also very high. The reason it seems viable is because you're trying to do it as an individual. So, to survive as an individual, that is sufficient today. The cost of acquiring will automatically come down. Also, because there are certain things that work with technology and robots that won't work with traditional distribution. So, to get a referral from a client who's dealing with you personally is far more difficult than getting a referral from a customer who's accessing your product digitally, right? And as for the younger population thing, that's actually good because the cost of acquiring a younger customer is really low. It's about a fifth of acquiring a person. Uh, for example, if you take someone between 25 and 30, will cost me about 20% of what it will cost me to acquire a customer who's between 30 and 40. And also, we know something very fundamental about finance. People stick to their financial advisors, people stick to their banks. A lot of younger banks have come up with 6, 7, 8% rates on their savings accounts, but people did not switch. They stayed with the bank, which was still paying them 3, 4%. In the West, it's a popular thing that everyone keeps saying is that it's more likely for a person to get a divorce than to change their banks. So if we capture these younger audience early, they're going to stick with us. And that actually plays really well with the first question, which is that the LTV, the lifetime value of a customer is really high because we know they are not going to switch. So a higher cost of acquisition is not going to be a problem. So there are multiple factors in it. Firstly, I'm not sure how well they are doing. It's a popular thing to say that they beat them all the time. But the truth is that at this point, maybe about 25-30% are actually outperforming their benchmarks. So maybe it is possible to pick these funds, but the advantages that we give up on choosing active funds are too large for us. For example, no, rebalancing for me is extremely easy because everything is on the market, right? If there is a mutual fund, if I need to rebalance, I have to sell something and buy something else. The mutual fund pays the money back into your bank account. No, that needs to come back. That's a big problem, right? And asset allocation is something which is done far easier using ETFs than active funds. There are no exit loads. There is no problem in churning your portfolio when required. So robo investors and especially people focused on goals follow something called glide path investing. This is another thing which you cannot achieve using regular funds. And as we know, there is tons of research across the world, true in India, true outside India, is that allocation creates much more, most of your return. Selection is a tiny part of it. So giving up that little bit of selection return to make sure allocation can be done perfectly is going to work much better for the customer in the long run. Focus on costs. So for a robo to be profitable, they need to be truly a robo, which means that large scale robo advisor in India should not be employing more than say 50 people, right? So what does that involve? That involves building a lot of technology, building a lot of technology on the side of advice, which is basically managing how you interact with a customer. Uh, that involves a lot of artificial intelligence. And once that technology is in place, we will not need to hire people to talk to customers. At that stage, our costs are extremely low anyway. Even today, the cost of actual transaction is about 1 or 2 rupees. At 2 rupees will be extremely profitable if you don't need to hire a person.